So now onto the rocker nightmare. So this rocker panel, let's see if I can grab the old one without too much shaky camera work. So this was the old rocker. I think they used a factory rocker because it's got it looks factory. All these, they used one off of like a 2-door, not a 4-door, because it didn't go the whole way. It stopped like right about there, and then he patched in a piece and then mudded it all up. But, so the new rocker doesn't have these dimples in it, so I gotta make those dimples in the bottom of that rocker so it looks factory. And then you can see they just braze rodded it here. That brazing rod was just a pain. And then these were all spot welds, but they cut it off the bracket because it's supposed to be welded to this bracket right up underneath. And then it's gonna get welded over here too. But you guys can see that there's some rust. Let's see if I can move this light around and you guys can kind of see what's going on. But, so, oh no, I can't see it. There's rust. I'm gonna sandblast all of this and prime it. All right, so here's the new rocker. Right here, I gotta trim it. Kind of, you can see where my line goes. I'm gonna trim that off. And then I want this to look as factory as possible. But this thing was a nightmare. So it's about 6 feet long, right? And this bend right here wasn't tight enough. I had to lower this edge about 1/4 of an inch. And it took forever, you know, to hammer and dolly and try to make it nice and straight. But now it's gonna fit on nice, just like factory. I'm gonna have it overlap just a little bit. So like right here, you guys can see once the rocker is on, it's gonna overlap, and that's gonna give me a little bit more strength when I weld. I gotta trim the top of that little seam, smooth it out. But I gotta trim the top of this just a hair. But I want it to kind of overlap just a little bit so that I get a nice, good, strong weld. This is structural, so, you know, it is what it is. And looking down the line here, it looks like that line is crooked down there, so I'm gonna have to I'll have to maybe put the rear door on quick and get this all fit right. But for the time being, we're gonna get the back of this all sandblasted. And I'm doing it inside my booth. And don't worry guys, before I paint the car, I'm gonna clean the whole booth out and everything. But so that's where we're at. What else? I trimmed quite a bit of where are we at? This had a big chunk hanging over it. It came up higher, and then it had a piece like this deep that went across. So it would have overlapped all of this. And I think the way they make these rockers is so that it fits inside this seam and then inside this seam. And I'm sure a lot of guys just put them on and that's that. But we're going to try to make this as right as we can. It's all going to get epoxied. And then I'm going to go and use weld through primer all up and along here. I'm going to radius these bends. I don't want anything sharp. I want to make sure that my epoxy sticks to everything really good. And I left up here, I don't really know what this is for. This little piece is just like glued in here. And it was sitting just like that. So I don't know. I'm going to sandblast it, clean it, and just leave it. I mean, it kind of looks like it was supposed to be welded to the front of this, but it sticks out too far. So I don't know. But I did leave, you guys can kind of see, I left part of this wrapped around. Let's see if I can turn you guys to see. Okay, so I don't know if you can even, if it's showing up. But so anyways, this is the old rocker that wraps around. So I'm gonna end up welding it probably like right along this edge. I'm gonna leave just a little bit overlap. Up here, this gap was too tight. So I made a cut right here and then I beat that down and that got me a good gap right there. And then when this thing was in an accident before, this thing was just all mangled. And it's pretty thick. It's like, it's got to be thicker than 16 gauge. I mean, it's probably like 14 gauge. I mean, it's thick. And I was beating and beating on it. And it took quite a bit, but I got it now where the bottom of this will line up. When I go to put the rocker on, I'm going to pop a couple screws in. And that'll ensure that it pulls this tight to the rocker. So I'll pop a couple sheet metal screws in there, probably 3 of them. And then I'll do my welds, and then I'll pull them screws out, and then I'll weld up the screw holes. But that's kind of what we're looking at. In the back there, I did the same thing. I left just a little bit of that lip. And yeah, I was actually kind of surprised. This rocker really didn't, at first glance, it looked like it fit really good. But once I actually like put it on and was looking at it, it did not. Like, it was a pain trying to hammer and dolly a 6-foot seam or 6-foot bend and try to keep it straight and nice and right. And it took a lot of trips back and forth from here over to the workbench. But that's where we're at so far, guys. Sorry that it's been so long since my last video, but I don't know, it just kind of is what it is, I guess. So I'll try to get out more video. All right. I got this sandblasted. Pretty good. This is all galvanized and didn't need to be all sandblasted, so I didn't. But I got everything in here. This is just a little bit of the black paint left over. I got everything all sandblasted up and kind of, you know, just trying to get where it's hard to do with a grinder, like inside all these, trying to get like inside these corners. And then I know the question's going to come up, how do you get all of this sand? How do I get all of this sand out of the booth? So I know a lot of guys are probably freaking out. Oh, he's got a paint booth and he's doing all that, making all that dust. I'm not painting anything today, guys. So what I do, I got me an electric leaf blower. So basically what I do is I just blow everything back to here. And then later, once I get everything epoxied, I get all the body work done, I get everything primed, I get it all blocked and ready to paint, the car is going to go out and all of this is going to get cleaned up. The whole booth will all get blown out and cleaned up. And I am wearing some PPE. So definitely want to wear a dust mask when you're sandblasting and stuff. Yeah, so anyways, it makes a heck of a mess. There's probably 20 pounds of sand on the ground. So I filled the sandblaster once, and then I had to fill it a second time. It's on the list. I need a bigger sandblaster. This thing sucks. It just doesn't hold enough sand. But yeah, I have seals along the bottom of the walls. So this stuff won't actually blow out of the booth, so I can just kind of go through, blow it all out. The exhaust fan I got works really good. It's going to suck most of the free dust out of here. And you can see I got like the trunk covered. I got most of the car covered. I should have masked off or done something for inside, but the carpet, all of that's going to have to get cleaned out anyways, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, there's a lot of sand on the ground. So that's where we're at now, guys. Alright guys, so now you can see I got it all pretty well tacked into place. Oh, I'm moving it too fast. Sorry guys. So we got that tacked in. We went along the bottom. I did every 3 along the bottom. So now I'll just go through and do a tack between each one of these, all 6 feet of it, and then I'll go through finish plug welding these. I still got to do focus. I still got to do these plug holes along the bottom that it wasn't done the last time I had a rocker put on. And then the very end of this is hanging off, so I'll just get a cutoff wheel and just slowly trim it back to fit, and then it'll get a full weld along here. And then the same thing going on up front. And then it'll be a lot of grinding. Hopefully not too much grinding, but. All right, we got the rocker welded on. We got not exactly my finest welds. It's kind of weird through my prism glasses and bifocals, and then looking through car safety glasses, it kind of messes up my vision, but I don't know, we got it on. When you guys are doing something like this along the bottom, it really helps if you guys get a welding blanket, and then, you know, when you're sitting on the ground, you can cover yourself up with it. When I was doing them plug welds straight up into the bottom, I was laying on my back, and I had this thing draped over my chest up to my neck, and then that way everything that fell on me hit my shield and fell off. But yeah, so now we got a whole lot of grinding to do. Man, this would have been a lot nicer with the TIG welder, but it'll work. So that's that, guys. Now the next part, like I said, is grinding. Hopefully I got enough grinding wheels. So the rocker's welded on. So I got it all welded, butt welded along everywhere. And then I got this ground down. And you see, now it'll make it all completely seamless. Like, we never even replaced the rocker. I'll take you guys over to the other side, and you guys can see what the other side looks like. So, nice seamless right here. From the factory, this is all leaded. Where this panel overlaps this, and then they got these spot welds right here. Well, then from the factory, they leaded that to smooth it out. On our side, I just filled it with weld because it's stronger. So you see this side, there was like that big hole right here and the big hole right here. When you guys have to fill big, larger holes like this, turn your wire speed up just a touch, and then you just do a tack, you know, bzzzt, bzzzt, bzzzt. You gotta get it to start doing that U shape, and then you just tack, 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 and you don't want to tack it so fast that it starts glowing red, because then you'll start burning through. So you just do a tack, let it cool for a couple seconds, do a tack, let it cool for just a couple seconds, do a tack. You know, you're not trying to fill a hole with a solid bead or anything. So, and then these ends are all butt welded. And then I got plug welds all up along the bottom. I kind of ballparked the factory spacing. The factory spacing was kind of sporadic. So I just went, I think they're 2 inches, 1.5 inches or 2 inches apart. And I just used a divider to mark them out. I did 1/4 inch holes because I did a test piece with 5/16 and 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch just welded in a lot better. You don't really want to go too small because then you won't actually be able to get into the weld. But so now, once this is all ground, it'll all be seamless. It'll still maintain all these factory seams. And the devil is in the details, guys. So this was kind of the most involved part of the car. And I'm happy it's done now. Oh, minus a whole bunch of grinding. So now the next video, because I don't think you guys really need to see how I grind and what I do. The grinding wheels I like using these. It's kind of weird. I don't see anybody on the internet using these. I'm like the only person, I guess. They're 3M what are they called? True cut or tough cut, but they thread on, and you can unthread this from the arbor and flip it over. So if you want, you can have the abrasive side back here. So if, say you got to grind the back side of something, then you can flip this disc over, where you can't do that with a roll lock. And then the roll lock, I just use the, these are the Blaze, Norton Blaze 80 grit. And then these are the tough cut, true cut. I'll go take a look. The 3M ones that I use are spendy. They're like $4 a piece. They're cut downs. So there, you guys got the part number. They last a long time, and they have a hard plastic backing, so it's always nice. You always got a nice rigid, and you can cut them down. I mean, you know, you can make these things like probably an inch in diameter if you really needed something that small. And yeah, I mean, you know, you usually just grind away the edges, and then like this one's starting to get worn down a little bit here. Come on, focus. So what I do, there we go. So what I'll do is I'll still get quite a bit of grinding out of it, but then I'll just run it and take a razor blade along the back side, and it'll just cut that little, you know, I can cut that 1/16 of an inch off, and then it'll cut like new again. They're really awesome. It took me a long time to find these things, but I love them. All right, so here is the rocker epoxied. And I epoxied this. I also sandblasted all of this too. I went back, sandblasted all my welds, got all the pins. Now all of this is gonna get blocked. This is all before I even do body work. So now it's all epoxied. I went through with a pick and cleaned out a bunch of the chipped and peeling seam sealer that was in there. But yeah, so now it's gonna look pretty well factory like the other side. So I think that's pretty much gonna be it for the rocker panel videos. And now the next step will be to work on this door and then that jamb. It'll be to pull this door off. Well, actually, it'll be put this door back on, get this all fitted, gapped, make sure that this one's going to be all fitted and gapped nice like it's supposed to be, and then take this door off, and then we'll sandblast these. Sandblast the jamb, epoxy the jamb, do the outside of the door, epoxy that, sandblast this post, epoxy that. And then we can go on to the fender, and the fender is going to be a nightmare. And then after the fender, we get to do basically like a long box pickup truck tonneau cover. That's the hood, because this stupid hood is so long. And we're going to have to do the jamb. We'll have to sandblast around the edges of the jamb because that's all starting to rust around the edges. And then we'll still got to do the trunk lid. But then everything's all the metal work will be done. Then we go into body work. Body work on this car is going to go pretty fast. So there you go, boys. Little here, a little there. We pick away slowly but surely, and we'll get the job done. Until next time, guys.